with the tough part too. And I'd like to thank you for joining us here today. And as you know, that everything that we talk about here is for educational purposes only, and they're not intended to replace the advice of your medical provider. Today, I have Dana Rideout. She's back with us.
In person. We
I am so happy to see you. It has been a while since
Yes.
we've talked. Dana, if you remember, was with us earlier this year. We were talking about the mind and how it works. And, you know, Dana is a professional licensed professional counselor, and she's a yoga instructor. And today she's going to show us some yoga techniques. I'm so excited. Actually, her techniques that she's going to show us, you'll be able to do them anywhere, dressed anyway, as you can see, or you will see. Have on jeans and a sweater. Even have on my cowboy boots, okay? And whether you are limber or whether you're stiff, like myself, you'll be able to utilize these moves, and they're going to help really. When you're doing yoga, how does it affect you?
That is a broad question, but I will tell you that the focus of my classes, we actually start with how the yoga impacts your mood, and then the physicality of it complements that, and it becomes this beautiful cycle of just goodness. So what we would start with is we start with postures that get us out of our fight or flight, so that we can really start coming into our body, and really recognizing how strong this vessel is. I call it our chalice. I show postures that help with anxiety, managing anxiety.
That's going to be really powerful because there's so many people out here who are feeling stressed and anxious, so that's going to be really powerful.
And then also I demonstrate some postures that are indicated for depression. So that sluggishness, that lethargy. And what's really amazing about yoga, at least I'm biased, but the reason I love what yoga does is also, though, as we're looking at how yoga impacts mood management, what it's also doing is it is strengthening the body. It's strengthening this container, which also feeds into our brain. The stronger that we feel physically in our balance, in our muscle tone, and even with digestive issues, then what that's going to do is that's going to promote healthier mental state as well. So it's just this beautiful cycle of health. Just getting people convinced that we're not going to be putting our leg behind our head. This is not about doing the splits. It can be, but that's not what this is. That's not what this is about. And you don't have to do those postures in order to get the full benefit of what yoga has to share with us.
Well, excellent. Well, I'm ready to get started. How about you?
Yeah. All right. So you ready?
I'm ready. Are you all ready? You can follow along with us now.
So the way that I structure my yoga classes is kind of different from other classes that folks will typically go to. Again, because I'm really focused more. My approach is more trauma informed, but it's good for folks dealing with stress, for anxiety, definitely change of life issues. So if you remember from the last talk that we did, we spent a lot of time talking about our defense mechanism, which is for what we're talking about here is going to be mostly in the limbic system. So our amygdala, Amy, all right?
I remember
so
Amy.
So we're going to give her the experience, because she doesn't understand words, we're going to give her the experience of getting away from the lion. We're going to let the body do what it naturally wants to do, which is go into fight or flight. All right, so in my yoga classes, before we even start really getting on the mat, before we start doing any sun salutations or warrior twos or anything, we start moving. We start with a march.
So here we go.
So as we're doing this, what we're trying to accomplish is in a 1 to 3 minute period, we're trying to get the heart rate up to this low aerobic level. Just low aerobic, not high, and your fitness level will determine what that's going to be. But if we can get just a little bit breathy, get the heart rate going just a little bit, what we're we're simulating is getting away from the line,
Okay.
or getting ready to box it in the nose.
Okay.
So either way, if we can just give the body, or actually our brain, that experience for 1 to 3 minutes, we're in a much better place for being able to get into the postures with a calmer mind,
Okay.
a calmer spirit. This is also really excellent for my folks that are connected to a higher power and have difficulty concentrating in prayer.
This is awesome.
So this is cool. So we can stay here. We could do some modified jumping jacks.
And you see how stiff I am,
Yeah.
okay?
If you've got some music and you like to do some Zumba moves, you can do some. You just gotta keep your feet
Okay.
going. You gotta keep your arms moving so that the whole body gets a sense of space. All right, and that we're not being held down. We're not being eaten. All right, and we're getting a little breathy. Now you're
It is
not
great.
even breathing. Are
Actually,
you getting breathy?
Yeah, I can
Okay.
feel it.
Because you're kind of fit.
Well, I haven't exercised in about 2 months, so.
Okay. So 1 to 3 minutes, you decide. It could be, if you're at the office, it could be a brisk walk to the coffee break room, to the bathroom, and then we just start to slow it down a little bit, but keep your feet
So you
moving.
can do this anywhere, office, work, home,
Exactly.
office and work, same place, but yes.
Right. So just enough so we can get just a little bit, like I said, a little bit breathy, but not overly, because then that's kind of counterproductive. Then
Okay.
we've kind of activated our fight or flight, and we don't want to do
And
that.
that causes the stressors.
Exactly. So we don't need to go there. So, and then you just go ahead and we go into, in yoga, what we call mountain pose. It's very simple. It's just legs hip width apart, and your arms can be wherever. They can be on either side. The palms can be faced out. Some folks will just put their hands in prayer position. But however, whatever feels good to you, you just start coming into your breath. Now, do you remember the difference between the two ways of breathing from the last? She didn't know I was going to go ahead and put her on the spot like that.
No. I can barely remember what I did last night right now, okay?
So, if you remember from our last session, this breath up here in the chest, that's our fight or flight breath.
Okay.
Okay, that's the one that's connected to our amygdala when she's really starting to get amped up. And so what we want to try to do is bring the breath down deep into the belly.
Okay.
Okay, so we just start noticing. All you have to do is notice breathing in through your nose, and then see if you can fill your belly like a balloon. So your chest doesn't even rise until the tip top of that breath.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn just to see if I can make it to where folks can see this. It's everything our moms told us not to do. She might want us to hold our stomachs in, but this way we really, we want to see if we can pooch the stomach out with our breath.
Okay. So.
So you're really using
So I can
those
see the
muscles.
difference, I can feel the
Yeah.
difference. Definitely breathing from here and not from the chest.
Right.
Mhm.
And again, and that's all in an effort to calm this part of our brain down so that it's not sending messages to our body to keep us amped up. We're trying to activate the parasympathetic nervous system.
Okay.
That's the brake
Mhm.
versus the sympathetic nervous system, which is the accelerator.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
All right.
Mhm.
So then, what we'll do for the purposes of this talk is we're going to go ahead and we're just going to move to the chair.
Okay.
Now this is not, you don't have to do this because of your gorgeous long legs. I am challenged in the leg area. So when I'm sitting, either when I'm seeing a client, when I'm doing any of these postures in a chair, I'm taking blocks, but also I've taken notebooks before, and I'm placing them underneath my feet. Because if I don't, my knee falls below my hip when I sit. Now see, yours is
And I
perfectly
definitely
aligned.
don't have that problem, okay?
No. But what happens is when I sit without it, my knees fall below my hips.
And I can definitely see what she's speaking of, yeah.
So, which doesn't sound like it's a big thing. However, over time, it's putting pressure on my lower back.
Okay.
So, if I just stick some blocks up underneath my feet, I can immediately feel that in my back. It feels so much better. So, just a little.
And I can see the difference too, yeah.
Yeah. This is not chair yoga. We're using the chair as a prop
Okay.
because we're not all able to get to a yoga class readily.
Right.
Okay. So this is again for mood management and still some physical strengthening exercises for us.
Okay.
So making sure that the ankle is below the knee, and then the knee is the same height as your hip. All right. And then you can do all kinds of things. So I'm going to inhale, I'm going to bring my arms up overhead. I'm rooting down into my tailbone, into the chair. I'm reaching up towards the sky. My shoulders are starting to come up to my earlobe, and I'm simply going to slide my shoulder blades down away from the earlobes. So they go, so your tendency is to kind of go like this, and I'm going to go and just slide my shoulder blades down away from the earlobes. Okay? My core is engaged. My stomach is engaged, supporting my torso so that my back doesn't have to do all of the work. Okay? I'm going to inhale, stretch up to the sky, and on the exhale, I'm just gently going to go to my right for a nice little twist. I'm breathing into the belly. The chest leads this, not the head. And you breathe. So a couple of things going on here. One is we're just helping the spine out, especially if you've been seated for a long period of time. But also we want to just kind of massage the internal organs, which it's not really massaging it, but it feels like it. It feels good. It's releasing some of the tightness in the muscles. And when we get super stressed, when we get a lot of anxiety, again, just as a review from the last session, our stomach, our metabolism, our intestines, they stop working as efficiently.
Wow.
Because,
that's really powerful.
But again, it's actually pretty cool because if you're running from a lion,
you don't need to digest your food.
Exactly.
Right.
So we're just trying to massage it, wake it up, let it know that everything's okay. So that's why this kind of twist is so helpful.
Which I can definitely feel in my back. That's really good. In my spine.
So we're going to inhale. We're going to start to come out of that, come to the center, and on the exhale, just move over to the other side. Your eye gaze stays really soft. The chin wants to jut out a lot of times, and let's just go ahead. The chin, the jaw, it's not in the twist at all. Okay, it's just the chest, and you take it to your edge. And then we inhale, sit up a little straighter. Exhale, we come to center. I'm going to scooch these blocks out of the way. I'm going to come to the edge of my seat. Inhale, I'm going to sit up a little straighter, and on the exhale, as you can, I'm going to start to hinge forward. So this is a seated forward fold. So as we hang out here, let me tell you a couple of cool things about any inverted posture that we do in yoga. Those are indicated for anxiety. Because when the head is below the heart, the blood flow is starting to go into the brain a little bit faster, a little bit heavier than what it was before. When the brain starts to feel that blood flow increase, it sends a message to the heart that it can slow down the breathing, or the beating,
Wow.
Excuse me.
Okay.
It's saying, hey, heart, you've done your job so great that you can back off of that a little bit. And the heart says, but I thought we were running from a lion. And the brain says, well, apparently not. You're doing a great job, so you can go ahead and slow down. the heart starts to slow down its beating, we start to get a little calmer. The breathing follows suit, the lungs start to slow down. So it's just this really kind of lovely combination. It's all because we just simply went into this forward fold. Not to mention it's a really nice stretch of the back.
It is. And so when you're at work and your boss has gotten on your nerves, or the people in the office have stressed you out, go into your office, go into the mood.
That's right.
The blood will rush to your brain and it'll calm you down.
All right, so coming out of this pose, you want to be as mindful coming out of it as you did going into it. Meaning, we want to make sure that the core is engaged so that your back doesn't do all of the work. You can use your hands to walk yourself up, or you can go ahead and use your core muscles. You inhale and just bring yourself up. Your head is the last thing to come up. And now we're back into seated mountain posture. And the cool thing about something like a forward fold like that seated is you can do all kinds of things. You can walk over to the right, you can walk over to the left, you can even hang and ragdoll, however you want to do that. But just know that not only is that a great back stretch and a core strengthener, but it's highly indicated for anxiety.
Excellent.
Which, of course, so is standing forward fold.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we want to go ahead and come up to standing, and it's the same thing. All right, so in yoga we like to do it kind of very gracefully, very intentionally. So we would inhale, bring the arms up overhead, and exhale, we start to hinge at the hips and forward fold with a bent knee because we're not warm or we're not flexible, and that's okay.
See, she's on the floor, and I'm not, okay?
And again, you're breathing into the belly, or at least your awareness is there. It's okay if you feel like you're not doing it right, or just it's not helpful to get caught up in that kind of internal, that kind of self-talk, because just as long as your awareness is in where you're breathing, you're doing it great. You're already there, so don't worry about if you're doing it right. And then on the inhale, you can begin to walk your hands up your legs, or you use the strength of your torso to bring yourself up slowly, one vertebra at a time, just so you don't get lightheaded. And then back up into your mountain pose. So postures as simple as that are really effective for stress management. And we know those postures, we do them, but we just didn't know that if we did them a little more intentionally, they could be really great stress busters.
Excellent. And so this is, again, really great because it's something that you can do anywhere, anytime, and they're simple. It doesn't take a lot for you to be able to do these different poses to help to relieve stress and relieve anxiety.
So legs up the wall is just exactly what it sounds like. We're putting our legs up the wall. It's a great hamstring stretch anyway, so if you're a runner, an equestrian, whatever, that's a great stretch. However, it's also fantastic for anxiety, for stress reduction. Mm-hmm. For some people, putting the legs up the wall is not accessible, either because of a work situation, because maybe you're pretty tight, you got boots on, whatever. So I'm going to show you the chair modification first, and then I'll show you up against the wall what that's all about.
Wonderful.
Okay?
Let's do it.
All right, so legs up the wall modified to legs up the chair. All right, so however you're able to comfortably get down on the floor, what we're trying to aim for is just simply to get the calves on the seat of the chair. And it's as simple as that. So what we're doing is we're encouraging the blood flow to do essentially what was happening when we were in forward fold. When that blood flow starts to come back a little bit more to the brain than what it's used to, the brain gets the sense that it has enough blood, that we're doing fine, that there is no lion, and it starts to send a message to the heart that everything is okay, and the heart can slow down that heavy, frequent pumping. So it starts to calm. This is a great way to activate, again, that braking system, that parasympathetic nervous system. And so you may just chill out here for 1 to 5 minutes, however long you've got. Work on those belly breaths. And it's as simple as that. So there's chair, legs up the wall using the chair as a prop. Now some people have have tight hamstrings. You can scooch back. You can put a block or a pillow up underneath the small of your back. You can put it under your head, however you want to do it. The main goal of this, again, is just to get the feet up on the wall, encourage that blood flow back to the brain so that the brain understands and can send a message to the rest of the body that everything's chill, we're good, we got this.
So
if your intention is to get to sleep easier, then what's happening here is that you can then begin to do some of the meditations, some of the mindfulness activities, or your prayer. You can get to those places deeper after or during a posture like this, because as the organs are slowing down, the breathing's slowing down, the body isn't all tensed up, then the brain has a chance to relax. So this is a great time, again, especially for sleep. If you want to envision the 4, the 7, the 8, inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8, and do that 5 to 10 cycles while you're in this posture. Oh man, it's lovely. If you have something with weight, a buckwheat pillow, or if you have a lovely cat that wants to sit on your tummy, or if you have any rice bags or a weighted blanket that you put on your shoulders or on your belly, that also helps to calm the body, activates that braking system as well. And then coming out of that, you just bring your knees towards your chest, roll over to the side. You're going to want to hang out here for a few seconds for sure, just so that everything starts to balance back out again, just so you can avoid getting lightheaded when you come back to a seated position. The other posture that I wanted to make sure that your followers know about is about bridge pose, and how wonderful that can be for stress management, for anxiety. And some of you are familiar with it, but others aren't. So bridge pose, just straight up bridge pose, is you bring your heels close to your bum, your shoulders flat against the floor, hands on either side, and then you simply, your legs are about hip width apart, and with the weight in the heels, you simply begin to peel your hips up off of the floor. Your arms can stay here. You can clasp your hands up underneath the small of your back, but that's neither here nor there. What we're doing here with bridge pose is the glutes are engaged, your core is engaged, your hips are level. What does this have to do with anxiety? When the chest gets close to the chin, to the jawline like this, we're adding a little bit of pressure to the carotid artery. When you do that, it's also helping to send a message to the heart that it can slow down the pumping. Let it come out of that, you lower one vertebra at a time. You tuck the tailbone under just a little bit, and that final laying down, and that's how you come out of bridge. So yeah, but that's just a little bit about what I know about mood management and yoga, and I hope that was helpful.
So you showed us some really powerful moves here today. I think that you all will be able to rewind this video and play back a lot of the different yoga poses to help you with your stress, your anxiety, even your digestive issues, which is so powerful. Please make sure you use it. I want to thank Dana for joining us again here at the Talk Part 2. I want to thank you for joining us at the Talk Part 2. If you have any friends that you feel that would benefit from this information, please be sure to share it, like us, and we look forward to seeing you in January on the Talk Part 2. And remember, we rise by lifting one another. Thank you for joining us. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see you next year.